Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. You all enjoying your day, sweet. If not, well, what the hell ever. So, I had been thinking about this subject a little bit. I've covered this guy with one of the earlier episodes of the podcast, and I'm talking about The Big Show. I've covered his 1991, or 1999 to 2000-ish run where he turned face and heel 6 times throughout the year. And today, what I wanted to do this time was kind of look at his oddball, messed up 2002 run, because I can't wrap my head around how the hell his booking was this year, because it seemed all over the place. So, this was before, we're going to try to go in chronological order, this even before the draft. He was technically a babyface because the whole thing with the invasion and all this stuff. So before the year, as the year began, he couldn't defeat The Undertaker for the Hardcore title, and he even lost to Booker T in less than 3 minutes on a match on Raw. Then he gets to the Royal Rumble. He gets in at number 27, gets no eliminations, and lasts not even 3 minutes before being eliminated by Kane. Okay? That is not good. In fact, let me try to compare it to the year prior, because the year prior is when he came back after being gone for a little while. He at least had, he lasted a bit longer than he did in 2001, but at least 2001, he got a couple of eliminations upon his return. 2002, he didn't get squat to start off the year. So then, Big Show after this, he would start to do this tag team stuff with Kane. They lost to Billy and Chuck in a fast match on Raw right after the Royal Rumble, and then even a quick tables match later on after that against the Dudley Boys. He lost a triple threat Intercontinental Championship #1 contender match against Rob Van Dam and Lance Storm just after No Way Out in just about 2.5 minutes. That's not good right there, now is it? Then it just seems like he's all over the place. He's got no feuds. He's doing a teaming with Edge, a hardcore title match against Al Snow on an episode of SmackDown, which I may have uploaded on WWF. I can't remember. Random matches on Heat. And then we start to get towards the company name change, because then he's having these random matches. He's beating Mr. Perfect in less than 2 minutes. Sean Stasiak, aka Meat, in about 1.5 minutes. And then towards the end of April, he turns heel and joins the New World Order. NWO. Because, he had that tag match with Stone Cold against Scott Hall and X-Pac, no contest, because, Big Show had to turn heel again. And then you had this random match at Insurrection 2002, where he lost a 15-minute match against Stone Cold one-on-one with Ric Flair as the referee. You could have capitalized on something about him turning heel, joining the NWO, but yet he lost to Stone Cold at their pay-per-view show of... You can technically count it as a pay-per-view, but their show at Insurrection right before the company name change. Not the best way to try to go up there, huh? And then even after this, you had, 2 days later, on the first Raw after the company name change, you had a 6-man tag match main event go to no contest because Ric Flair then turned heel. Everybody's got to turn on Austin. Fast forward a little bit to Judgment Day, 2-on-1 handicap match. Stone Cold versus Ric Flair and Big Show. And Stone Cold still wins in about 15.5 minutes. What are they thinking? And then everything starts to really go off a cliff, because after this, the Hardy Boys beat Big Show and X-Pac in 4.5 minutes on Raw the night after Judgment Day. He managed to beat Bradshaw the next week, and for some reason he has a match ended in disqualification on Heat after this. And again, this is all going in chronological order. Random tag matches going on. And then, by the end of June, early July, the NWO has to disband because Nash, around this time, gets injured again. He even loses a match to the big, Booker T via count-out on an episode of Raw. Then, July 8, 2002, I skipped it forward ahead just a bit, but that became the match where everything broke down. NWO had to split because Kevin Nash got injured again, because it's where he tore his quad because a little incident. So, the NWO is done. Big Show still remains a heel, and he's feuding with Booker T. So they have a no disqualification, no count-out match at Vengeance, which Booker T wins in just under 6 minutes. He beats the Giant. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And he gets his heat back the next night by squashing Spike in about a minute. Then he loses a mixed tag match a week after that, July 29, 2002, with Molly Holly against Bubba Ray Dudley and Trish Stratus. And then the next week, on the August 5th, 2002 episode of Raw, he loses to Bubba Ray Dudley in a tables match in 4.5 minutes. Big Show, this is not your year. So, I got choked up a little bit. Then he's still having these random matches. He wins 2 back-to-back disqualification matches on Raw. The 19th of August against Rob Van Dam, and then September 2nd against Tommy Dreamer, because everybody's got to get disqualified against the Giant. He fails to win the Fatal 4-Way Elimination match on the September 9, 2002 episode of Raw against Van Dam, Jericho, and Jeff Hardy. So that's how Van Dam became #1 contender for the title against Triple H. Then, again, the matches are still becoming pointless. He's having matches with Jeff Hardy. He loses a steel cage match to Booker T, beats him in a rematch and Falls Count Anywhere, and then all of a sudden he beats Jamal, Rico, and Rosie, all 3 members of 3-Minute Warning, on Raw on the October 22nd, 2002 episode of Raw, and then he jumps ship over to SmackDown, and then all of a sudden they decide, hey, let's change things up with the guy. Because now he changes his look. He's got that singlet tank top type of shirt, and he's wearing leather pants with a belt, and now he's suddenly over enough to suddenly become taken seriously as a #1 contender to the WWE Championship, going against Brock going into Survivor Series. I don't get it, because, yeah, he beats Rikishi in 2.5 minutes. Yeah, he beats Matt Hardy version 1 in less than 2 minutes. So then all of a sudden, he's #1 contender, and it magically undoes all the odd booking that was going on prior to this. Just jumping ship over to SmackDown and suddenly becoming #1 contender. I know that sometimes you can change shows and your booking can change and everything, but you can't ignore how inconsistent his booking was in terms of the matches he was having, the length of the matches, and all that stuff that was going on just before he went over to SmackDown. Because like I said, he was either having random matches, tag stuff with Kane, not lasting long in a Royal Rumble, or just losing random singles matches in embarrassing fashion through all this. I mean, hell, the guy didn't even have a match at WrestleMania. I think he brought it up when he turned heel with the NWO, being like, oh, I was watching your stupid kids at WWF New York, woohoo! Or it's either WWF New York or The World or whatever it was called at the time. So then he goes to SmackDown, he's quickly #1 contender for the title, beats Brock to become the first person to pin Brock Lesnar in a match on television in WWE, and becomes the new champion because Paul Heyman turned heel. Then he has to somehow beat Edge via disqualification after this to retain the title. He has a match against the Fabulous Moolah, which I did not realize happened the week after this, for his title. I'm going to have to look this up, see if there's a graphic for it. He's got this tag match with A-Train against Edge and Kurt Angle. Then his first pay-per-view title defense, he loses it to Kurt at Armageddon because Brock gets involved. And then he fails to defeat Chris Benoit after this to close the year, because that's how Benoit becomes the #1 contender going into the Royal Rumble. So, yeah, I don't understand what was going on with Big Show. Okay? He barely had any pay-per-view matches this year. And his booking, like I said, was all over the place. Like I said, Royal Rumble didn't last 3 minutes, no eliminations, nothing and no way out. He was at the New York restaurant for WrestleMania. He didn't even have a match at Backlash either. He lost Stone Cold 101 at Insurrection, lost a handicap match with Ric Flair against Steve Austin again. NWO stuff fell apart very quickly. And he had that one segment where he's asleep on a couch and be like, cheeseburger. Because you had Goldust and X-Pac running around, so for some reason they had to put comedy in here. Failing to beat Booker T in a no disqualification, no countout match with Vengeance. Nothing for SummerSlam, no King of the Ring, no Unforgiven. I know he had a backstage appearance, segment, everything. I think he was threatening Bischoff and No Mercy to be like, trade me. And then shortly after he goes to SmackDown, he changes his look, he's #1 contender, becomes champion, loses the title at Armageddon, and then he's just back to not really doing a whole lot. What were they doing with this man? How do you go from doing nothing to then just somehow being a main eventer out of nowhere? Yeah, you can do some good booking things to try to undo the past. If you give them a new character to where people forget who they were prior. But they didn't. You can't just suddenly shoot somebody up from being a joke to being a top guy overnight. You have to build up to that point. That was a problem that I mentioned with Jinder Mahal and everything back then. You can't just go from loser guy to being the guy overnight. You have to build and give credibility again. And Big Show, it did not feel like they really did this. Okay? Because again, it was just all over the place. I don't understand it. So let me know in the comment section below, what did you all think of the Big Show's time in 2002 in WWE? Because, like, this was just so... I can't wrap my head around this. What were they thinking, and what just suddenly gave him the urge to make him WWE Champion all of a sudden? It's like, yeah, you had an impressive solid match at Survivor Series. Let Brock show off his strength and everything with, like, German suplex, overhead belly-to-belly, the F5 and all that stuff. That was great. But still, become WWE Champion, it didn't last long. Then you find out later on, Heyman was also working with Kurt Angle to put the title on him and Team Angle and all that shit. It's like, this is so weird. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's episode, folks, please remember, leave a like, subscribe with the bell, turn on here on YouTube for notifications, comment what you thought below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening, folks. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good day, everybody.